Hey everybody, this is Dan for GemmyD on Cars. Now today we are going to go for a short drive in a 2019 Mazda CX-3. This is a touring spec. It's got a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, 148 horsepower, 148 foot-pounds of torque. It's all-wheel drive. So in this video we're going to go for a drive. So I got the key right here. Just leaving work right now. So let's start up the CX-3. Now, from everything that I've read about this car, I've had this car for almost a day now as a loaner. My car's getting serviced. They say that it's a pretty sweet driver, and I can sort of relate to that. It definitely feels like a Mazda. It's got the same brake pedal feel and the same, throttle feel that my car has, but this car has a sport button. We're going to try that out. This car has a very nice auto hold feature that I like. I don't drive too many cars, or I don't use that feature in too many cars that I have done reviews on. We've got blind spot monitoring. We don't have a heads-up display. We do not have adaptive cruise control, but in a car in this segment, in the subcompact SUV segment, not many cars do. Overall, I think this car is a solid buy. It's just sort of average. I feel like there's some things that I love about this car, but a couple other things that I would change. So let's get this thing out on the road. All right, I am just leaving work. We've got a 6-speed automatic. You got nice resolution on the camera there. Now we're gonna go straight to the Mazda dealer to get this car dropped off and get my 6 back. So here we go. So I've had this car about a day now, and I think it could be a perfectly fine car for like a high school kid or a college kid. It's about $25,000 for sale at Freisinger Mazda, where I take my car. I think it's a little underpowered, honestly, and the engine sound is not the greatest sound I've ever heard. It's definitely, you could tell it's a 4-banger. We're gonna step on it in a little bit, but just in normal everyday driving, I think this could be a solid car for anybody that needs reliable transportation. It's just not going to be the most exciting drive, but if you're in the market for a car like this, I think it could be a good choice. One thing that I do like about this car and about my car too is the brake feel and sort of like the gas pedal feel are very nice. I mean, just from a stop, you just ever so slightly feather the throttle after the stop sign. It just feels nice. Some cars sort of lurch forward or the brakes are touchy. This just has a nice pedal feel, I guess you could say. Now up here we've got a 7-inch screen. Everything is controlled from the click wheel down here, like every other Mazda in the last couple years, which I still like. I don't like touching the screen up there myself. I just don't want fingerprints all over it. That bothers the hell out of me. But yeah, this is a nice little car, and I say little because it is sort of subcompact. I won't hit you, Mr. Truck. Now let me just get on her just a little bit here. Yeah, it's okay. 148 horsepower is okay. I mean, that's more than enough for everyday driving for 80% of the country, but it's okay. Mazda is known for their 2.5-liter 4-cylinder, but this is a 2-liter. I wonder if this is the same engine that is in the Miata, which could feel a little bit more spirited, because it's such a small little car. Alright, now, so I'm going to switch into sport mode. You just flick that up. We've got a little light on the dash there. It says sport mode. Now, I think this is just going to hold on to the gears a little bit longer. I want to see if it's sort of like how aggressive it is, if it really holds on to the gear and it's sort of annoying, or if it's just something that'll make it a little sportier. Now, like I said before, we have a 6-speed automatic. You can go into manual mode, but you have to switch it, the gear from the gear stick right here. We do not have paddle shifters on the back of the steering wheel, which is fine. This is still fun too, but I'm gonna leave it back into auto mode just because I have one hand and I want to be safe on the road. So we're gonna keep it in sport mode just to see how that feels. So yeah, it definitely holds onto the gears longer. That one was up over 3 grand RPMs, but honestly it feels Look, it's still holding on to the gear. Oh man. Okay, yeah, it really holds on to the gear. Still holding on. But yeah, I think it's funny how some of these cars like have like a normal mode and then a sport mode. Like, why don't you just keep it into sport mode? Okay, shift already. Jeez, man, that really holds on to gears. That seems like that holds on to it a little too long. Man, okay, so I got a little display in the dash that says we are in 4th gear, but man, that really held on to the gear. That's one of the longer, more pronounced hold of the gear that I've seen in a while. There's a nice CX-5. Alright, so I took it out of sport mode just because that was just holding on to the rest for so long, and I could instantly feel the steering wheel feel a little bit different too. So definitely messes with the throttle response and the steering, and it holds onto gears honestly too long, really. Now, if I'm completely honest, I'm kind of surprised that this car is sort of on the average end. I mean, every car of Mazda's that I've driven in the past 2-3 years has been, you know, awesome. Like, I really love them as a brand. I'm happy that I own one, but this just seems a little off. I mean, the sport mode held onto the gears for way too long, and then it really lets the engine rev, which doesn't really sound the greatest. So I don't know, it just seems like this car needs a couple little tweaks that can make it a little bit nicer. It has the pedigree of the Mazda and their design language, which I think is nice, but just a couple little aspects about the driving I think they could fix a little bit. So I'm driving down 22 in Harrisburg, where I almost come up to the state capitol. Now this road is sort of bumpy. This car definitely soaks up the bumps very nicely damped. I mean, there's potholes and bumps everywhere. That is one nice thing. The visibility is pretty good too. You can definitely see out the sides very well. There's not much visibility in the C-pillar right there, in the C-pillar there, if you didn't hear me. Now we're going across the State Street Bridge. This is always I get to see this every day when I go home. It's a nice little, one of the nicer, more scenic areas in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. But yeah, overall, I think this is a solid car. I just think it needs a little bit of tweaks. I would love to try out a Kia Soul. Compared to the Hyundai Veloster, because I recently just drove that about a week ago, it definitely compares as far as performance, I think. The interior, I think, of the Veloster might just be a tad nicer. I feel like the materials are nice in this car, but that car is so sort of quirky and funky that it has sort of like a personality of its own. It had this sort of interesting blue trim all around, which I thought was kind of a nice little touch. That car was similar in performance. The one big thing is that car was $20,500 and this car is $25,000. I mean, that's $4,500 is a lot of money when the cars are so similar. So I think from a value standpoint, plus the warranty, the Hyundai might be a better deal. All right, so we are crossing the Susquehanna River. So I want to just get a little space behind some people here and then give it the beans a little bit just to test her out. Okay. Yeah, it's all right. The sound is honestly not too great, but it's a 2-liter 4. Yeah, not bad. Average. I'm feeling this car is pretty average in many ways. All right, to wrap up my drive here of the 2019 Mazda CX-3, it's average. I think this is an average car, and I'm kind of surprised because this is the first time I have said that about a Mazda. But I think if you're in the market for this car, you need to look across the road right here. There is a Mazda 3 hatchback looking at me, and it is gorgeous, okay? So get that car instead. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. See ya. Okay, the Gem score for the Mazda CX-3. Sound, I gave it a 4. It pretty much sounded like nothing. Styling, I gave it a 6. Not a bad looking car, just nothing too crazy about it. Performance, I gave it a 5. Not really much to talk about. It's just a normal 4-cylinder. Price, I gave it a 7. This car is $25,000, which is not a lot of money, but wish it would still have a little bit more features for that price. Comfort, I gave it a 6. Comfort, just pretty average. Interior, I also gave it a 6. The materials were nice, but nothing too crazy. Fun factor, I also gave it a 6. It's not the most fun car I've ever driven, for a total Gem score of 40 points out of 70. Now, this is pretty much the bottom of the barrel as far as the Gem score. I did rate the Veloster 3 points higher at a 43. It's not a bad car. It's just nothing too special about it, but I still liked it.